we had Luke up next to do the vision statement and core values, but he's actually talking to a potential student right now. That's why he had to step out. And so I will just leave that maybe to the end, and we can go on with updated job responsibilities. Ooh. Okay, so so like I said, I am a teacher. I've been around for about a year, like observing this program and working with classes when they're more kind of like meetup style, and there weren't any formally graded assignments or anything, and it was really cool and free. But then it just you really felt like the students who didn't kind of have that ability to teach themselves were somehow getting left behind. And so I want to introduce some mechanisms that I believe will make our students have an even better chance of learning as much as they can while they're here. And we can definitely discuss all of this, and feel free to ask questions. So an instructor at Awesome Coding Academy will now probably work between 8 to 10 hours a week. Okay? So hopefully that's still manageable for you guys. Here's kind of how I see these 8 to 10 hours being used. So class is from 7 to 9, right? Lab is from 6:15 to 7, and instructors are not required to be here for lab to reduce that time. So it's 4 hours, right? Then during that 7 to 9, you're going to facilitate learning through implementation of our projects, right? So our curriculum is project-based, and you give the short lecture, you introduce the project, and you help facilitate learning through that. We'll talk more about what that looks like. Now here's where the rest of the hours come into play, and I think y'all are doing this already. I want to emphasize it and make sure that's happening. We need to provide feedback to students on all their work. I know that sounds like a lot, and all is capitalized and it looks kind of scary, but when I say feedback on all your work, let me kind of explain what I mean by feedback, right? We want feedback to be consistent. And the reason why it's going to be consistent is because if you know someone's going to look at what you're going to do, you're going to do it. And you're going to do it better because someone's going to look at it, even if they're just going to glance at it. It's going to be motivating for you, right? So on every assignment, it counts. We want their best effort, and if we ask for their best effort, we could glance at it at least, right? Relevant. We want feedback to be relevant, be centered around what is actually being covered in class. So if someone's messing up on their CSS, maybe you don't give them feedback about floats. I think that's obvious, right? Like you give them feedback on if you're second week of CSS, you give it feedback relevant to what they're working on right now, and then say the other stuff we'll learn later, right? And be okay with that. Or if you have more time, you can show it to them. But we should give them feedback that's focused on the objectives in the lessons. Accessible. Students should be able to apply the feedback you give them to improve their assignment. So it shouldn't be like, oh, that sucks. That's all messed up, right? And that's the kind of feedback I would give because I simply don't know as well what Jake could say to him. It was like, oh, dude, your float is just a little off. Like, just do this or whatever. Practical. So feedback should be practical. Like, we're not trying to burn you out. Every weekend as a teacher, I would go home with 400 pages like this. Like I had 100 students, and I had to put 4 grades in every week, and I was getting burned out, right? And I don't want you guys to get burned out because it's not fun, and this should be fun and exciting, and it should feel meaningful when you're doing this work, right? And so what I mean by feedback is like, hey, good job on your homework. You made 100 because you met all of your requirements. Or good job on your homework. There were these 10 requirements, and you missed one of them, and so I gave you 90. This type of thing. Does that make sense? So I actually got really good at grading really fast just by using checklists. And whether they're like really in detail or just very simple, just to be able to somehow quantify a assignment, right? Where it's done, it looks good, it's 100. It's called completion, right? Yeah.
Do the projects already have checklists created for them?
Not yet. But that's a really I mean, it depends, right? So if you look at an app in the intermediate class, there's already tests, right? Some of the projects and the intro class to make it into a checklist would be to like basically copy paste and maybe take out some of the adjectives or something, right? You're almost there. So I almost think that creating individualized checklists for each project would be more strenuous work than just kind of like glancing at it. And we'll talk more about how the curriculum is structured, and we'll make those choices together for sure. So homework and classroom assignments need to be looked at just because students need to know how they're doing, and that was like a big feedback piece that I got from students where like I really never knew how my homework was, and you know, sometimes I said I got a good job, but what could be better, what wasn't. At the same time, it shouldn't take you a lot of time to do that. Our idea right now is to give feedback using GitHub, and we'll talk about how to do that. And so it's just a matter of like going through and just making a few comments here and there. Jake?
So you probably cover this down the road, but Nancy, are these going somewhere? Are these points, if they get a C on a project or 50%, is it a pass-fail situation at this point? What are we doing in terms of like, where is all this going towards?
Right. So the reason of to give grades is to give feedback, right? So like if you made a 50 on an assignment, then you need to work harder, right? Or you need to get some help. And so, as long as we understand that, then how my philosophy of grading, which I'd like you to at least implement, or maybe at least be open to trying to implement, is that assignments can always be corrected to improve the grade, right? And I give half credit, but maybe you give full credit or whatever you want to do. I mean, I can see why both would make sense. So let's say that you do a homework assignment and it looks bad because you had a bad week, and Jake says, okay, well, you didn't finish it, so I'm gonna have to give you 60, right? But here's the things that you could do to make it better. And then they do them all, then you can either give them full credit for it, half credit, whatever feels right for you and your relationship with your students. Is that cool?
I'm just trying to figure out, because, I mean, I'm sure as a student you're wondering, and maybe we want to encourage this wondering, or maybe we want to like stamp it out, but like, if I fail, what happens to me?
Right.
Because like that's a mentality a lot of people have from traditional schooling, like.
But also, you know, we're saying, what you're saying, I would give them half credit for corrections or give them full credit for corrections. And what I'm wondering is, if this is about feedback, what are we communicating with those two things, and shouldn't we have some sense of standardization on it? You know, if some of us are giving full credit on corrections and some are giving half credit on corrections, I think that says that we aren't really clear on what and how we're trying to communicate with the feedback.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, that's a good point, and the discrepancy between should I do half or full, it kind of makes sense. I mean, why we should just do full? I mean, why not? Grades are kind of arbitrary, and everyone's adults.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. But at the same time, I know what I would do if I was a student, and I knew that corrections were worth
100%. I would just wait.
Like I would just like add up, and then at the end of the session, say to myself, I'm gonna go back and do it all, but then I probably won't. And so
I don't know about that. I mean, I was always kind of an A student, and it didn't really matter how much grade inflation or how easy things were.
You know what?
My incentive was always being at the top, and you know, you
I
can't.
feel like I'm in a teacher's lounge right now. Like, number one, that's awesome. I've been in this conversation a lot of times with a lot of different perspectives on it, and there's not a right answer. I've heard a lot of hours of discussion, and what I want to do is I want you to do what's right for your class. As the instructor and leader of your classroom, you decide what kind of feeling you want to make. Right? As long as you encourage students to correct it, even if you don't give them feedback or give them points for it, as long as you're correcting it and learning, as long as at the end of the class they know what they're supposed to know and they've been given feedback the entire time and have some incentive to do a good job, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I want you to have that freedom. And I also want Jake to have that freedom to decide on how he wants to build those relationships and manage his classroom.
And just to let you know where this is going, we're trying to gamify the experience for students to where students can sort of log into their account. They're literally giving like a rating about how good of a student they are, right? Or their temperature, like we were talking about, it's based on either check-ins, making sure you're here for every class, you'll get docked points. If you don't show up, or also points for grades. They literally have, I'm only like an 87% student here, and hopefully gamifying it, we'll try to keep the color blue or whatever the 100% is.
Yeah, we're
I
experiencing.
mean, it's a very simple concept, but this thing is for these A students. You want the blue, right? You want your tax score to be in the green when you go look at your old tax score.
Yeah.
You want your student tax score to be in the green or blue, whatever.
It don't talk. It's called the STAR test now.
Star test.
And it's hell, I
It
tell
is.
you. Yeah.
It's bad.
So I mean, basically, when they get a certificate, are they? I mean, is there a tiered system now? Like, I mean,
So-
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, as a student, like,
It's a really great question, and to be completely honest, I don't know, because we're building as we go, right? And if everyone gets a 50 and no one gets a no, but I don't see that happening. I
don't either. But
let's put it this way. Like, this is, I always got this feedback. It's like, if I'm a good teacher, right, no one should fail my class, unless if they just don't show up or don't do the work, right? And if they don't show up and don't do the work, I don't have a problem not giving them a certificate. They didn't earn it.
Yeah.
But if they show up and they do the work, it's our job to meet them where they're at and help them to get what they need to do, learn what they need to learn, and get the work done to pass the class. So if students aren't passing, then we've got to work harder, and let's figure out, let's brainstorm. You're not alone. You're not like, oh, you have 5 kids back, and God damn it, whatever. Like, no, we'll work together and make sure that you have the support that you need with your TAs, with your tutors. If we need to bring more people in, we'll do that. At the same time, we want to be able to track it as it's happening, right? We try to do it with midterms where, oh my gosh, like, these people failed the midterm, let's have a meeting and talk to them. Or at the end, maybe they just stop coming because they've been behind so far. But maybe with this system, we can have a better idea day to day how everyone's doing in the classroom, right? I know that Brendan spent a lot of time on GitHub commenting to his students, and I really like that, and I think that the students got a lot more out of that experience because of the consistent feedback, right?
It was more effective than I expected. A lot of them were like having to give feedback on certain things, formatting, or don't compare booleans into true or false in your statements, like little things like that, and they would never do it again. Just because it was personal, just because it was person to person, something they would see every time they go into their GitHub. So it was really effective.
Right.
Would
And
you like open edition on the GitHub then?
They had pull requests, so I kind of know that. Probably pull requests. They would see like exactly
Right.
that line of code. What my comment was.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
We'll demo that next time. It's actually a really, really cool way to grade.
yeah.
Pull request.
So in terms of the grades, it's a way to communicate to the student, to yourself, and to us as like an administration of the school of how is so and so doing, how's the class doing, what's going on, right? It's one way to get a picture of the class. It's not the only way, but it's one way to do it. So it's kind of everyone understand, and then if it's a bigger assignment, like in the intro curriculum, we put in some checkpoints, which are kind of like, there's like a checkpoint 1 after HTML, CSS, and a checkpoint 2 after floats and box model, and checkpoint 3 after media queries and some Bootstrap, and then the final project, right? And so that would require more extensive feedback. Now that would be something that you would take a little bit more time on. So maybe you do show up for lab that day, and you just meet with each student for 5 minutes real quick, or something like that. At the same time, like, you're going to work with your TAs to figure out which system works best for you, and I'm going to support whatever you want to do as long as it gets this done, right? You have the freedom, but also let's make sure that we are giving feedback and grading. We'd like all the instructors to have a grade book, which is basically maybe I will sign it real quick. Just a list of names and grades, and I mean, if you want to, you could definitely like weight them at different values. I don't know if that's what you want to do. It's going to be up to you. But so basically here we have Chris Lofton, and he got a 40 on the pre-work, a 30 on the pre-work check, a 20 on the project one. This is actually every assignment that we built into the intro curriculum already uploaded here for a grade to go next to it. You know what I mean? So this is what we would do, and then Kevin, of course, 100 on everything.
Who created this?
Yeah, he did. No. So we see that my grade right now in the class is a 32. So hopefully, like, Eddie and Marisol would be like, "Hey, Chris, like, what are you doing, man? You got a 4 on your final project, you know?" And so this is just a way to keep an eye on what's going on in the classroom, right? And then so we would have one for all of them, and then what would be cool would be like, I'm like, okay, what's the status of school? How are we doing as a school? I could just check. Oh, everyone's passing intermediate, advanced, intro. We're good. Or oh no, half the class is failing in intro. What's up? What can we do? What do we need to bring in another TA? Do we need to start doing Sunday official tutoring sessions or what? What's going on? And that's the purpose. Never, ever, ever, ever are grades there to like make someone feel bad. Ever. They're not to judge. They're not to tell someone that they suck. Grades are there to motivate people to get better and to be honest, right? And I think it's really important that we keep it like that. I remember, like, you know, you get mad at a student, you fail, you know, stuff like that. We don't do that here. Or try not to. You know you had that. You know you had that. Don't act like you didn't. So in terms of the outside of class requirements, we ask you to meet with students outside of class and assist students on Slack within reason. And there's a reason there's not a set schedule or anything like that. It's the same thing with the TAs. It's like, we know you're busy. We're not asking you to like spend every weekend tutoring people, but we like to ask you to be available, like maybe a few times a session. And our idea is that people here are all motivated and have the best interests of the students in mind, so that when it's necessary, it'll happen, but it also won't be like, you know, won't become a burden to you, hopefully. With the TAs, we do ask maybe meet 4 or 5 times a session outside of class. Just come in with the job description. Not set at certain dates and times because you're free and you're busy, but just to be available. I think like that's happening already, and so we're just encouraging that to happen within reason. TA is 6 to 8 hours a week, 6:15 to 9. So then the TA is in charge of lab. So 6:15 to 7, that's the TA. They're there the whole time during class, getting the one-on-one, knowing what's going on with each student, right? Assisting the instructor. And so they should have a really good idea on what to do during lab and to work with the tutors to make sure that everyone's getting the help that they need. Of course, you help out during class time. And we're going to spend some time tomorrow going over the curriculum. I really want TAs and tutors to be collaborating on how to help each other accomplish this. I think the more teamwork we have here, the better. Ensure effective use of lab time. Meet with students outside of class 4 to 5 times a session. Assist students on Slack. Again, within reason. Don't stay up all night every night answering Slack questions, because we want you to stay healthy and to enjoy your lives. And then the tutors, we say 4 to 6 hours a week, 6:15 to 7, Monday through Thursday each week. Answer student questions during lab. Each tutor should check in with every student at least once each day. So let's try to avoid, like, I don't know, sitting, because I feel like some of our students are a little bit scared to maybe ask for help sometimes. And so if we could just check in with every student every day in lab, I think that we're golden, and we give them the opportunity. And we don't just provide assistance, but we also look to provide acceleration, challenge students to be innovative and think of new things and to try new things. Like, oh, everything's going good. Well, you know, we're here to learn, so maybe you can add this, or, you know, you kind of feel me? Just to kind of like push. Sometimes you pull them up to catch up, and sometimes you need to push them forward to keep learning. And then again, as a community, I think we can support our students on Slack as well. If it ever gets to be too much, just let me know. Like, really, I'm always here for you. And if it's like, I'm not enjoying this anymore because of all these Slack questions, and we'll brainstorm that. We'll figure out a way. Or like, I really am too busy to meet people outside of class. I can't do that part. Like, let's talk. We'll figure it out. Or I freaking hate grading. Can you teach me how to do it real quick? I'm like, yeah, been there. So just know that my job is to make sure that you are enjoying what you're doing and being successful and getting the most out of it, right? And so that's it in terms of job roles. That's my job. Make sure you're happy doing your job. So any questions about our official job roles or duties or anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what's the lab thing?
The lab time is from 6:15 to 7, and it's where students come in and there's no formal instruction, but it's a time for them to ask questions on where they're stuck, get challenged a little bit, and just like basically a forced study hall. Does that make sense? Mandatory study hall.
It used to be optional.
Yeah.
We realized that people would just not come or be late. But the ones who did come were the ones who did the best in class, right? That's like the paradox, right? Like the ones who came, who didn't need it, but were there. But they're also the ones who can help others. So we just decided to make it part of class.
So that is already the 6:15 to 7?
6:15 to 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
People will be here
I have
at
another
5:30.
question too.
sure.
So when we're actually trying to meet with the students outside of class, is giving your personal email like discouraged? Do you want to encourage more?
So we'll
Slack?
give you like an Austin Coding Academy email.
Okay.
And then like the amount of info that you disclose to students is up to you. Like, I have no problem with them having my phone number, and if you have a problem with that, then just don't give it. It's up to you.
But for organizational standards, like try to keep it to Slack. Promote them using Slack. You know, it's one-on-one, it's confidential. It's easier to to have a thread, and also like if a problem does arise, it's easier for us to go through a thread than it is an email, a few separate emails.
That's so true, and that totally gets us to the next thing. We want to talk about ethics and sensitivity. I mean, so basically, we've had a few situations come up, and I mean, I tried to make them short and sweet. But like, for instance, we had one student who got really upset and like banged her head down on the computer, and like that's not okay, right? We have. You can see right here, ACA, we create a safe space for all of our students and employees. It's very important that we as leaders of the school do our part to model and represent these qualities for our students. So if there's a student who's doing something, even being really negative, we've got to either address that ourselves or talk to me, Chris, or Luke, or Kevin, right? Because we've got to create a safe, positive learning environment for our employees and our students. At the same time, we have to be mindful, I guess, of our audience. I think that's the biggest key. So we want to avoid sensitive topics. So like, maybe we don't share our political views because then or maybe we do. I don't know. It depends on I trust you. If your class is like super open and relaxed and y'all can have adult, meaningful conversations and not start making emotional arguments in your classroom, then you're better than everyone else in the country, right? Go for it. But otherwise, maybe we don't. But honesty is very important, right? So we never want to oversell Austin Coding Academy. We are what we are, and we're honest about it, right? We're not trying to get people's money. We're trying to give them a fair value for their money, and that's really important. And we don't have secrets. We don't play that game. Open door policy or whatever. We're honest. We're patient. So you're gonna get the same question asked again and again. If you need to like step outside and smoke a cigarette or chug a shot of whiskey, you can do that. But you just don't like get frustrated with the students because they're under a lot of pressure. They invested a lot of money into this and a lot of time, and sometimes it's too much for them, right? But then if they go overboard, then they need to be removed, and we also need to do that, right? Compassion is really important. So try to see the situation from the perspective of the students when you're teaching, when you're helping, when you're assisting, because what's obvious to you is not obvious to them. I promise you that. And trying to understand that and break it down even more simple than you ever thought was possible is what's necessary. compassion, right? Respect. Everyone's opinion matters. Everyone should feel valued. Take steps to make sure students are comfortable. Same thing. In a difficult situation, don't be afraid to ask for help. We have your back. I'm actually trained in something called SOMA, so if we ever need to restrain anyone, I'm certified.
Does Luke do the Mike Tyson stuff?
Yeah.
We can help.
Yeah. No, I can do it safely and with the least amount of injury. I also know how to talk people down because I work at a that's why. Anyway, apology can go a long way. So, know your audience. Know the jokes that you can make and language that you can use based on who's around you. We have people who are from a lot of different backgrounds, different religions, all kinds of interesting things, and we want to be a place for them. And so just know your audience. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to say and what not to say, but I'm going to tell you know your audience. And then if you do cross a line and make someone offended, don't be afraid to just like, hey, I'm sorry about that. And if it's too weird, just come see me. I'd love to talk y'all through it. It's very interesting. And then like ultimately our trust is earned, right? It's not given, it's earned. It's something that we earn every day by like having the interests of our students, the best interests of our students in mind, right? And if we're constantly offending them, then they probably won't learn very much from us. Anyway, that's enough of that. But any questions, or y'all kind of get the reason why we're going over it? We're trying to be like a safe space for everyone. Sweet. Compensation. So at this time, we feel very lucky to have talented and compassionate developers to teach our students. It's really cool that you guys are taking the time out of your full-time jobs to be here. Not only are you here teaching, but you're here training. We really do appreciate that. That's why everyone got a bump in salary this session. We're also like adding a little bit more responsibilities, and that's why. So on Tuesday, if you could bring, it's tomorrow, if you could bring a voided check. If you have one already, if you already are like getting paid from us, you don't need it. To set up automatic deposits, and you'll be paid every 2 weeks starting on the Friday of the second week of class, and it's just automatically deposited, unless if you're Eddie, because he doesn't believe in banks.
Buy silver.
Buy silver.
Big hole in his basement.
Things you may not know about me. I do not believe in the financial system.
It's a big joke. And then if you're not, like, if you already have done this year, you don't have to. But if you're a new hire, then we have W-4s here. If you want to grab them on your way out, just bring it on Tuesday tomorrow with a voided check. That would be excellent. So, is Luke still on the phone? We wanted him to present, but maybe
He's coming. He's coming. He's partnering.
So those of us that have already done that process.
go.
Let's talk about the
Yeah, mission statement and core values.
Yeah.
Quickly, and then Q&A and closing.
For sure. So wait, Chris, for those of us who were
If you're
in
already
last
getting
time,
paid,
you don't
in
need
the
to do a new
system,
W-2
you're
or new
completely
W-4
good.
or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you should be fine. And just a few.
Sweet. So this is what we're about. Whenever somebody asks like what is Austin Coding Academy, it's those 4 words. At least to me and to Chris and to Kevin. Affordable, accessible coding education. And what I would love for you guys to do, you don't have to do it right now. If you want to do it right now, you can. If you want to do it when you get home, at some point, I would love to see this. I'm going to go through a couple of these things, but when you're thinking about all this, like, what does this mean to you? And if you guys could take anything that you see on this page and rewrite it in your language for you and how it relates to your life, I would love to see that sometime, because you guys are what makes this tick. You guys are the reason why students come back and come here in the first place. For Chris and I, we put this together. Chris Sika and I, we put this together. We have a couple main goals in this, and this is kind of like our mission summed up. Is create an ever improving methodology for teaching, coding, and problem solving. Problem solving, I would say, is one of the key words in there. I guess those are all key words, but problem solving and ever improving. Like, we're always going to be a work in progress. 10 years from now, we're going to still be a work in progress. As long as people are inventing new ways of writing code and doing things, there's always going to be work to do and ways for us to improve. And yes, we teach code, but I think more than that, and I think a lot of you guys, especially the ones like, I remember watching Brennan's class, like, more than teaching code, we're teaching problem solving. That's like the number one thing that that when we talk to hiring managers, are like, this is who we want to hire. Like, yes, syntax is important. Yes, knowing how to write code is important, but like, we can look all that stuff up. Like, the problem solving is the key thing here. You were talking a little bit about like pedagogy and like how we actually teach. For those of you who have been here for a semester or a couple semesters, you guys have probably noticed like the first week or two of class when the intro students get pissed off at you when they ask a question and you're like, cool, have you looked it up yet? You know, or they'll be like, you know, how do I do this? Or this is probably a classical one. It's not working. Cool. What's not working? What are you expecting it to get? Or what are you expecting it to do? What's the input that you're giving it? These are all really great questions, and you know, it can probably be summed up pretty easily in just like the Socratic method, but like legitimately breaking it down and like asking them questions. Like, if you see people getting frustrated in the first week, that's a good thing. And you definitely want to reassure them. And I think Nye, those of you who know Nye, she was pissed at, who was the instructor?
Eric.
Maybe it was Eric or somebody 2 sessions ago.
Yeah, Eric and I was TA.
Yeah, and she's like, God damn it, just tell me the answer. Like, the reason why our students are so, like, the ones who've gotten hired recently, like, the reason why everybody loves them, and like, I'm just thinking about Luke Stennis over at Invoto, and I think Gazem, and like, the reason why our students are, like, why employers really like them is because they know how to think, and it's not just like, here is a box, here's this project that you're going to learn how to do this project, you've got 3 months to crank it out, go. It's not that. One of the reasons why we spread out our curriculum over 9 months is it gives them time to screw things up and come back and ask questions, and hopefully by the intermediate and then eventually definitely by the advanced class, like, they know this is a framework for learning how to tackle any problem, not just this one coding problem that I've done in class. So that's the first thing in terms of our continuing goals. The second is to build an open community to support and encourage new people in tech. For those of you that were here for graduation, you heard some of the students talk, and like, all of them talked about the community. That's the other big reason why people come here, is for the community. I think I wrote this up here. What we're about is just smashing barriers. Both belief barriers in terms of what people think they can do, and also barriers around learning to code. I know for me it was really intimidating when I was like, God damn it, I just want to learn this, and there's somebody that knows it and I can't figure out who that person is and how they can teach me. We're about breaking those walls down. And that community, like, you guys helping out, those meetings on Sundays, like, hell, even going out for a beer and just being like, hey, what's going on, dude? Like, Jake, I know you've met up with a bunch of students outside of class, and like Eddie and all of you guys, like, this is a huge reason why people work with us and why this is a special school. So that community. Callie's doing a great job with the alumni network. She's building that. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I believe we've had more like students come through our class than all the other schools. Like, as far as just like sheer number of students, this is going to be the largest alumni network in Austin. I would love to see it eventually be, you know, Texas, and then eventually the whole country as well too. But and then the last one, this is kind of a tangible goal. It's going to take a while to get to, maybe not, but we'll see.
What's the number so far?
200, 250 maybe. You can look that up. It's like somewhere between 200 and 300.
We need some exponential growth.
Well, we're getting we're starting classes in Austin. In San Antonio, July 18th. We are going to be launching in El Paso as well too. We're going to be launching in Houston, September. It's late September, and then Dallas in like October 3rd, I think the date is. We are planning to go to all sorts of cities all over the country. The cool thing about this place as well too, because of the way it's set up, because it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to come take classes here, because you can take classes in the evening, there are all sorts of places that other schools just aren't set up to go, that are places that can't support a full-time $15,000 curriculum. And that's the cool thing about this is it's going to be, I have no doubt that San Francisco is going to have plenty of coders, and that New York and LA, and all these places are going to have more than enough developers. But the Des Moines, Iowas,
What about Iowa?
legitimately, Des Moines, Iowa sent us an application for a $500,000 grant, and the people, they basically sent us and assigned us a grant writer as well too to write and apply for this grant so that we can build schools in Iowa. Like there are places and other coding schools have looked at Iowa and they said that we can't do this. It just isn't worth our time because of their model. So there's going to be a lot of places that we're going to be that other schools just aren't equipped to go. And so that number, I think, is something that we can hit. It's going to take a little bit of time and a lot of hard work, but we can definitely get there. Why is this important? So going back up here again, in Chris Siga, in my opinion, I think Lofton and Kevin share this as well too. Like there is no quicker, more effective way to break the poverty cycle than learning how to code. Everybody hears about this growing wealth gap and this disappearing middle class. There's no quicker way, in our opinion, to rebuild that than teaching a ton of people how to code and re-entering people back into the middle class. I think all of us would love to, be fabulously wealthy one day. It'd be great. It's not going to happen unless there's a middle class in America, and we think this is the best way to help contribute to that.
Yeah, because our students are not just all becoming developers. You're getting into the industry in different ways, and they already have a certain skill set from their current job, and they learn how to build really nice websites and how to communicate with developers. And now they're so much more valuable than they build.
Yeah. What we believe, and this is something that I truly just hold in my core, and I think anybody that's here who, is here on a Monday night at whatever time it is, 9 o'clock, 8:30, I have a feeling you guys believe this as well too. But the first thing is that anybody can learn to code. And this is something that I think is the most important thing, because I don't think every place really believes this. I really believe we are the best option for beginners to learn how to code. I think there's a lot of places that will teach the people who probably should have been comp sci majors, but for whatever reason have decided to be business majors. There's a lot of places that teach people who already have a tech background. I don't think there's anybody that would have gotten Adrian into the intermediate class. Yeah, I don't think there's. Just think everybody who's here for a semester or two can probably think of at least one person that was like, holy crap, they're here, day one, and then at the end of the class, like, you did it, good job. Those are the people that we're here for, and we truly have to believe that anybody can learn to code. It's just a matter of finding out how to talk to that person in their language. Make coding approachable. I already kind of talked about this. Just breaking down the barriers, whether that's scheduling barriers, whether that's just like cultural barriers, whether that's just social barriers. We just want to make it. We want to kind of take the curtain away from the wizard behind the curtain. Make this an actual thing that people can attack. Make it affordable. It's pretty simple. That's what we're trying to do. Thank you guys for being here, helping us do that. We really couldn't do it without you. Sustainable learning. A learning methodology that will help them after they're with us. That's the most important thing to us. Like, yes, you'll learn a lot now, but because you have a foundation here, what you can learn after you're done with classes, that is the real win. And what you can teach to other people as well too. We very much encourage the teach a human to fish methodology rather than give them the fish. And then the last one is honesty and openness. That's both for us with our students. It's pretty particularly with our students with us. We really want to encourage our students to be open and honest and let us know when they're having troubles. Let us know when they're frustrated with something, because if they hold it in, they have a shitty experience. We didn't get to help somebody, and it just doesn't work. And also, for what it's worth, you guys with us and you guys with each other. Like, let us know when things are kicking ass. Let us know when they suck. Let us know when we suck. If there's something that we can do better to help you achieve your goals and do your jobs better, let us know because that's what we're here to do is empower you guys. You know, the world's always more fun when it's a little bit more open and honest. So, if you guys could, again, it doesn't have to be now. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. At some point, take a look at this. It's awesomeCodingAcademy.com/about-us. You just click on the link. Take a look at it and just rewrite it. It can be on a notepad, a Word document. If you want to redesign the webpage, cool, whatever you want. But just rewrite it in a way that means something to you and email it to me or send it to me. I would love to see that because if we can all get behind one focal point, it's not going to be so ridiculous to hit that number. We're going to actually be able to do that. Cool.
Alright guys, so thank you all for coming. Are there any questions that are here now arising in mind? Yeah.
Oh, you'll probably answer this. What time does the thing start tomorrow?
Tomorrow we'll 6:30 to 9 again. Hopefully we can work hard and get a little bit early.
All week, right? I mean, well, Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday this week, and so
Orientation.
like Luke was saying, and I really appreciate all you guys being here. We're trying to figure out how to create really awesome teachers and TAs and everything, and so we're developing a training system. And so this is our first time, so forgive us if it's not the best, but basically first day is orientation. Welcome. Here's our mission. Job responsibilities, compensation. The next day is going to be diving into curriculum. So be ready to work tomorrow. Bring your computers. We're going to look at all the lessons, the final projects, and talk about strategies for teaching it. Wednesday is optional for you guys because it's student orientation. You're welcome to come, but you don't have to. And then Thursday is explaining how we're going to use Git, how we're going to use Atom, how we're going to record video, all of these technical things that we need to go over. Hopefully Thursday afterwards we can go grab a drink, and then we're done and we're ready to rock on the next Monday for when classes start. Okay? Any other thing? Yeah.
So let's say acts of God, I get salmonella from my turtle or something. I can't make it to one class. Could I make that up by going to a different session?
Yeah, so I mean, if you miss one class, don't worry about it. It's not like, we're paying you. We're not paying you hourly. We're paying you to do this job for this long, right? And so, missing a class is not a big deal. But if it's like you're missing a few classes, then we should talk because we really need you here for our students. But if there's an act of God, then
I mean,
right?
you can FaceTime and you can comment on pull requests.
Yeah, there's work to do, and there's also Sunday. I mean, if you want to host a Sunday session, that's students really appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I want to make sure that there's ways to make up something.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're sick and you want to make it up to the students and show up on a Sunday and say, "Hey guys, open tutoring session. I'm here." By all means,
Could
please.
you create like your own, like say after X session, maybe Friday or anything?
Yeah,
As long
yeah.
as
Just talk with me about it, and we'll brainstorm the best way so that students can make it. And let's do it.
To answer what I feel like might be the underlying question there is, this is your school, and if there's something that you want to contribute to it and take ownership in whatever way, like, yes. The answer is already yes. It's already yes. We're here to support you. We're here to make it happen. Yes.
Thanks.
Cool, everyone good? And if you have another question, we'll be here tomorrow. So thank you all for coming.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
And you had a question, right?
I was just talking shut up like
Yes, that's good to know. I don't know where Gazelle, but I think we knew she wasn't coming tonight.
Chicago.
Oh yeah, she's traveling.
Oh, she was teaching?
She's TA.
She planned this trip before we even
Okay.
talked to her about it.
Yeah, and then we moved up the session too. And then Jen is the other intermediate instructor, and she also couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course, it's been fun.
It's been really fun. And you come around and hang out. You don't leave. Come around.
No, 100%.
Alright.
Yeah, no, I'll probably try to get out of it.
Yeah.
I think on one of them I had to
I
get
don't know
a
about-
huge.
Yeah, thanks for your input and stuff. Yeah, that was really big.
$85 or something.
Oh.
So we can, like, when you can pay someone to rebuild your car engine, take it apart, but the other $5, it's like insurance. I'd be more worried about insurance than
Alright,
so
I'm
surprised you didn't tell them that story.
Dude, I didn't want to embarrass you.
Oh, yeah. What's your
Every time
tax?